Hello, it's Cryptolyze. I hope you are well on this Thursday, December 2023. We're meeting today to talk crypto, to talk BTC. We'll get back to the news and it'll start right away. If you want to train and really enjoy bull running, it's simple. There is perfect, complete, free training available. It's through an educational journey that teaches you everything about blockchain, crypto, investment, technical analysis, and trading. All this for free in comments and descriptions. You have exercises, multiple choice questions, modules, videos, guides, everything to support you in your progress. We'll start right away with the news from Hashdex, which launched a spot BTC ETF. Finally, which made a request for a spot BTC ETF. And so that's it. They also launched their commercial advertising, so we're going to start seeing a lot of things around that. And basically, what is defined is that precisely if you want to be exposed to crypto, you absolutely have to be exposed with a company that specializes in crypto, precisely Hashdex. So it's to differentiate itself from its competitors, who are much more general. Well, there you have it. This is the angle that was chosen. In this case, for example, when we look at Bitwise, we have yet another typology of communication which will be carried out with the modification of Google on the regulations around ETF communications cryptos, which are going more or less green, if not completely green. I think we are going to have a lot of communications which are going to be. We continue with the good news, and we are going to talk here about the Grayscale survey, which announces to us that the majority of voters in his poll believe that the future president and candidates for the U.S. presidential election should be informed about crypto. So, when we look at this title, we say to ourselves that it's great. In fact, the majority of people want the candidates for the American presidency to be informed about cryptos. Except that we're still on the block and that, once again, it's a Grayscale survey. I want to tell you, if it wasn't the majority, I would really ask myself questions. Grayscale still remains pro and ultra-pro crypto, offering almost only crypto services, so obviously the scope of Grayscale is mainly crypto. Likewise, this news is brought to us as a revelation in crypto media. Well, we need to take a little step back once again on the news we have and the way we treat it. In this case, there is nothing new. I hope that those who currently follow crypto and who follow Grayscale hope that the future American president is pro-crypto, or at least has an interest in crypto. If that wasn't the case, I would really have questions. So it's just to give you a little perspective on what's happening in the news. And always, it's not because we have our noses in it and continually deal with crypto that everything the world, that this is the case for everyone, okay? That everyone is pro-crypto or not. Yes, we had a small acceleration. Yes, we had a nice valuation in 2023. That doesn't mean that when we go back to family at Christmas, apart from the usual question of where is Bitcoin, we will not necessarily have much more interest than that, and I can assure you that your entire family or the majority, not to say the whole, but the majority of your family will absolutely not have followed what is happening. Switch to crypto and limit will think that it is dead. Maybe they quickly heard that it was going up. But that's basic. There is almost no interest. It doesn't change. We continue in the news, and we are going to talk about Phantom. Phantom here, the wallet which originally was the Solana wallet, which incorporated during this year. Everything that is EVM compatible is now in the process of integrating, finally integrating, and announces that they have integrated Bitcoin, Ordinals, and BRCT T20. So that's it really. Phantom is moving towards being a multi-wallet. And what is rather positive, what I really like Phantom, it's my wallet that I use. For Solana, and I think it is possible that it will also become my BTC wallet if my tests are conclusive. We continue on Fungible. I told you about it 2 days ago, in which the marketplace had opened. We have the possibility of being able to buy cards which will be used directly in the game, and which will design the character that you will have in the fantasy game of tennis. There are more than 48 left, well less than 48. I think if I don't say stupidity, 46. 46 to be able to have some, and in which we still have relatively low prices. If you are ever interested in this type of game, I will put the links in the comments and description. Once again, 46, I'm not necessarily sure that we will have another type of sales like that before having the game released, so it could be interesting, and in particular, I think we have a platinum. which is coming out, yes, soon in 13 hours. Okay, 13 hours the platinum. So it will go quite quickly and you will have to watch if you are ever really interested in being able to evolve. Namely that the cards that you buy in this marketplace there, upstream, and this will not be the case afterwards. You will receive 0.5 throughout the life of the card exchange. Okay, so there is a form of profitability that we can have. Well, it remains relatively weak for my taste, but that does not prevent it. There is a little more to see if you are ever interested in this type of game. We will continue with news from Goku, who explains to us that in France, Web3 jobs have decreased by 75. They were 17,000 in 2022, and in 2023, we had moved to 1,635. Okay, I admit that in the meantime, we had something difficult. In 2022, we had Terra Luna, yes. We had FTX too, so it's very, very complicated. At the same time, we also had all the legislation that arrived around Web3 in Europe, with the arrival of Mika, which had a huge impact. And the question we will have to ask ourselves is where the 15,500 jobs are located here. A little less than 15,500 Web3 jobs. I want to tell you, they have all moved into artificial intelligence with the explosion of startups around artificial intelligence, and what could confirm for us the establishment of a bubble around artificial intelligence. We will see, in any case, at the level of the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq how it behaves, because you know very well, if you followed yesterday's video, that we are really in a very important zone. Today we have the quarterly GDP TT3, which will be validated. 5.2. I think we should not be bad, we should be in these areas. We are going to have weekly unemployment registration, which will be important. Obviously, the Fed's manufacturing index at the Philadelphia level is also very important. I think we will be above it. I even think we're going to be on top. And we will end this week, before starting Christmas week, with the PCE core, which will also be very important to watch. So it could really be the final stretch for precisely a little bit of volatility. Namely that I remember that we are at the end of the year taking profit. Well, what is happening? Obviously, we have just taken the top, we have taken the liquidity from the top, and we have a sale of this top there on the objective 0,618 of the impulse. Bullish, a little bit of what I talked to you about yesterday and which is pretty normal, okay? If we had a candle like this about the breakup, I would have really asked myself questions. There, it's so normal that we have completely swallowed the candle of the week, and I think that we will certainly either oscillate and have this typology of candle there over the weekend because we are in a zone of uncertainty. We are in a zone where we have pushed a lot, and we are especially at this end. Year where we have a profit taken. Don't forget that it is the 21st of December. At a given moment, we have to take the profits to validate the premiums, to validate all the returns that have been made during all this year. And there are still a lot of returns, so it's normal to validate a profit taking here. This is something that we also see on the Nasdaq, which is still less marked, which allows me to say and see that here we have a Nasdaq, which is still very much stronger. We know it. It is the representative part of tech. And when we see that, it is also mainly driven by artificial intelligence, and this will still be the case in 2024, or even why not 2025. What made me tilt quickly is the increase of the VIX. I spoke to you about it saying that we were really at very, very low levels. It was not normal given the coverage that we have. That's it. We have coverage that is starting to come into play. So people are moving. To react here to the bearish breakout of the SPF 500 on a probability of going lower, well, it still remains very mixed. We are not going to hide that we are relatively far from the levels that we could have had. We zoom out a little. We look. There we are still very, very low. We should potentially look for the 15, 16, 17, or even 20 to say that in fact we really have a possibility of crash. Well, we are still very, very far away. So we take a step back from that. But that allows us to see that there is a reaction. There is a hedge that is being put in place. Therefore, potentially at the end of the year with profit taking. In terms of oil, very good reaction on the resistance level, the same we talked about yesterday on which we were certainly going to do a sell-off on this part. Go touch this resistance and come back down to see if we manage to consolidate above to really go back and do big retests. Or, if we make a small rebound for a bearish retest, and then try to retest why not a little lower, go and retest the levels here of 67, 66, before retesting the high part, it will be interesting to follow at the level petrol. BTC, we are going to get straight to the heart of the matter, in which we went to fill part of the CME gap, therefore very important. We were waiting here for a part of closing. On the other hand, we did not close the entire gap, and we have a movement, which is a little bit special. If we zoom in a little more, we see that we have indeed made an upward acceleration. This bullish acceleration has filled, we will say, not far from 60 of the CME gap. We still have one block left above. I think we'll go get it soon. For what? because we have a reaction indeed bearish, but which is really weak, okay? Really weak bearish reaction. We see that this part 2 is bought, which at the same time has resistance now, which has been the support throughout this part 2, and which has been resistance throughout this part 2. So it's normal here that we rework this area, or even that we accelerate to collect liquidity. The fact that we are not completely filling the CME gap is not normal. Okay, this is not normal. I think we will fill it quite quickly. Are we going to have a bearish breakout in this area? I don't necessarily think so, and if we have it, for me it will be a target of 42,600. Okay, it will be in this part because we have a little bit of liquidity. We still have some indications. Who can tell us when we look at the Kingfisher, we see that it no longer exists here. The short zone has been completely annihilated and recovered by the bullish acceleration, so we have a large part of short squeeze, a large part of long squeeze, but we see that we still have a lot of longs that are present, a lot of longs on the break here of this resistance. The break of resistance was really played for a bullish acceleration to accompany the price a lot. Upper. Except that we see that the shorts are not present. We have quite a few shorts. We mainly have a lot of longs, so it would be logical to make a small bearish acceleration to retest this zone here, or even a small wick to go and retest the level that I gave you, to liquidate this entire block before starting to rise again, and encourage the appearance of shorts, okay? The fact of having this bearish acceleration, it is certain that hop, we are going to come back to the chart. Here we will have a positioning of shorts which will be put in place, okay? If we ever do, tack, that presto, we reincorporate. So there will potentially be an accompaniment of shorts. People will place themselves, will place their SL here, to get much lower. Except that there we will have a potential rebound, to start rising again and do a short squeeze. So here we have a fairly particular little setup. We're very careful once again. I remind you that we're in a form of compression. That doesn't change anything. We just went for the equal highs that I talked about last time. So here we are really in a classic cycle, which also confirms to us that we are really in a zone of hypermanipulation at the end of the year, which at the same time is once again normal. So we are always very careful. So we are going to look at two things. Firstly, at the level of total 3. On the other hand, Total 3 is clearly having fun. The altcoins are having fun with this period of ranging at the level of BTC. We really have overreactions from certain altcoins. I told you about it on Twitter, in which we had NIR MENA. We had outperformance, which was quite impressive on the acceleration of BTC, and which really outperformed by X2 almost BTC in terms of acceleration. So it's really very impressive. And it's interesting to see the reaction of altcoins to lateralization movements, because they remain lateralization movements of BTC. So we still have a mini altcoin season already for some time. We validate it, and this is something that is rather consistent with evolution. In terms of order flow, not much to add on the fact that we have a little bit of open interest, which is mounted on the acceleration too. So it is well supported by the open interest. When we look here at the CVD, we can clearly see that we are aggressive on the perpetual. So in fact, it is indeed a perpetual movement. It is not a spot movement. Spot is relatively flat. See if in fact at the level of 25 we have a small upward acceleration to seek precisely to break the liquidity that we there at the level of 44,400 to go a little higher. That's going to be the big question. Are we going to end the year on a new high, or are we going to end the year on liquidation closers with a retest here of the ranging? Because I remind you that even if we are in compression, I tend to tell you that we still have a big range here, which is in position here. Mainly the main thing it is here, these are extensions. These are things which are good. Above, in which here for me we will fill this gap there at a given moment with even just a small wick. So are we in this dimension there with a lot of liquidation? And in the liquidation, just a little aside in the liquidation, we have almost no movements in pure liquidation. That is to say, we liquidated 100 million short for 75 million long, okay? It's very balanced. So that means that we are in a range and that we are in a classic manipulation of liquidity to create movement. So once again, protect yourself. Take a step back. It's over for today. I hope you liked it. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment. It supports the channel, and above all, it makes me very happy. There will be no video at 13:30, as I told you I will certainly be on the road at that time. And we'll see you tomorrow for a special video, because it might not be a daily one to see what happens tomorrow.